I almost wasn't gonna watch this movie because on first glance, like I saw some of the promotion for it and I was just like, it's not really super up my alley, but I heard Colleen Ballinger on YouTube and Miko Hughes. So Colleen Ballinger has like this alter ego, Miranda Sings, and she's like big on YouTube. And then Miko Hughes is a child actor who was in Pet Sematary and Kindergarten Cop and Wes Craven's New Nightmare and a bunch of television in the 90s, like Full House. I follow him on Instagram. I followed them both on Instagram, but anyway, he posted in his stories that that he hated it, that it made him sick to his stomach, that it was crap. And then on Colleen Ballinger's vlog channel, she talked about watching it with her husband one night, and she just said that it was so weird, and that's all she could say is that it's weird, and that if you like weird movies, she would recommend seeing it. So I was like, okay, now I kind of feel like I have to watch this movie. And it just came out, I think, last week, Netflix, and I watched it the other night, and apparently it's based off of a novel, a 2016 novel, and Charlie Kaufman, who also wrote Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, he directed it. I think he directed it. He adapted it and directed it. And then according to the Wikipedia, it has been critically accepted. Like, people are saying that it's good. So apparently Brie Larson was supposed to be the female lead, but then she got replaced by this woman named Jessie Buckley. So this says Rotten Tomatoes reports 84% and 200 critic reviews are positive with an average rating of 7.6 out of 10. Stellar performances from the leads, generally favorable reviews, unsettling psychological horror, saturated with squirming dream logic that tips over into the domain of nightmares. In a more mixed review, Adam Graham of the Detroit News gave the film a C grade, saying that the performances were excellent, but that the plot was an unsolvable riddle where the only answer is mankind's hopelessness, and we've been down this road before. So that's a little bit of a backstory of it and why I decided to watch it. In summary, it starts out being a movie about a guy taking his girlfriend to meet his parents. And then it just kind of like starts to fall apart and is confusing and weird and tiresome, and I mean, I would definitely say that describing it as just really bizarre and weird. Really bizarre and weird. Okay, it's about that, and then it kind of like does become dreamlike or nightmarish and symbolic or just confusing, and you don't know what's important, and you're just literally so confused watching it, and you don't know what's gonna happen next, but that's not necessarily a good thing. So is that my summary? Is there any other way I can summarize it? I mean, I'm gonna go through it and describe it as best as I can, but basically you go into the movie thinking it's one thing, and then it ends up like, what? I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can add, because usually, you know, you can just kind of sum up something pretty neatly, but this one basically just needs some explaining, so I guess that's the best way that I can describe it. For me though, if I could give it negative stars, I would, and I guess I could because I'm making the rules, but I'd give it a 1. I mean, I guess I'm just not intellectual enough to appreciate this film for what it is, but I didn't like it at all, and I'll tell you why. So spoilers ahead. So as I do when I start watching movies and I decide that I'm gonna do a video on them, I will get out my phone and start taking notes. So I started taking notes, and once everything started devolving, like after they got to his parents' house, things just started getting weird. There were scenes that were like, I didn't know if they were important. I was making notes, but it all started just jumbling together and not making any sense. And I just started to give up and was like, I almost wanted to stop watching it. It just didn't make any sense. It became frustrating. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this. I'm not gonna take notes. Maybe at the end I'll kind of summarize it. But it's interesting. It's interesting that I say that because I didn't finish it the night that I started watching it, but I really was frustrated and wanted to know like what other people were saying and what it was actually about, because I'll spoil things for myself and I'll still watch something even if I know the details about it. That's just the way that I am. That night before I went to bed, I looked it up, and basically like one of the things I was reading about it was saying like all the red herrings in the movie. And if you don't know what a red herring is, it basically just kind of like gives you details that aren't important to make you think they're important, but nothing ever comes of them. So that's why I got so frustrated when I was making notes, because I was like, what is, I don't and that can be really frustrating too, because another thing that I read about the movie, and I say another thing and this thing and that thing because I literally just briefly searched it on Google. I don't remember what the sources were, but I was reading things that I agreed with, because I feel like the overall message, or like what the movie is trying to be, would be more effective if you had more insight. So one thing I read online was saying like it doesn't give enough detail to the viewer, and I would agree with that. It's a lot of times it just looks like a lot of random images, and I don't feel like it's done like in a smooth way or a way that's artistic or interesting or beautiful or anything. It just is frustrating, and you're just like waiting till the end to find out what this was all about. So I just feel like the way that it was put together just wasn't, it missed the mark. Like I just feel like it wasn't for what they were trying to do. Like when I figured out what the movie was supposed to be about, I just feel like it could have been put together better. Like the long scenes in the car with the couple are just painful. Like they just start going off on tangents and talking about things, and you're just like, it's awkward, and it's probably supposed to be awkward, but it's just not fun to watch. Of course, you know, it's like this harsh landscape of this small town during a snowstorm, and there was a little car, and it's awkward. They've been dating for a short amount of time, and all this like her internal monologue, and just the long awkward conversations, and how like they'll be talking about one thing and then it's like the moods change so fast and the conversations are just weird, and I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to describe it as best as I can, but like the scenes in the car are just like painful to watch and boring, and they just drag on for so long too. So, but I did really feel like the movie was trying to be something more intellectual, and I just feel like it didn't pull it off for me. But of course, I mean, I've never seen Being John Malkovich or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I know of them, but I've never seen them. So I don't know if they're similar, like style. I know that they were really popular. And it's funny because I just feel like I've never, I don't know, like gotten into movies like that. Like I'll see a preview for like those movies and I just was never intrigued enough to watch them. I don't know if I'm just like not the personality type that this is geared towards, and like obviously other people like it, so maybe I'm just not on that level. I don't really know. But you know, it did become obvious that it was like, it was very, you know, dreamy, like it was in somebody's dream. And you do get, like, parallel to the couple that you do see this older janitor. At first I thought it was Jake, who's the lead guy's dad, but then you meet his parents and that's not his dad. And they kind of look similar, like if he were a lot older. So I did make that connection early on that that probably was like future elderly Jake. But, you know, I kind of spoiled it for myself and like looked ahead and basically what it is. And so let me see if I'm at the point where I could tell you kind of like what it is. Also during the movie, so this is what I thought was going to happen at first. So when she went to go and meet his parents, it was very weird. Like, he was talking about the farm and how like the animals die on the farm, and I'm like, I'm not into that. Like, it was just a really bleak scene with the snow and the animals and like the other, like the dead animal stories. And his parents were really kind of weird, and it took him a long time to come downstairs. And I legit just thought this was like a horror movie about a guy that took his girlfriend to meet his parents and they were gonna murder her. Like, that's just legit what I thought it was gonna be. And then throughout the course of them being at the house, like, it's almost like time kind of like jumped back and forth. So like the parents were middle-aged at one point, then they're super elderly, and then they're really young, and like, you know, like she would have been during Jake's baby year. You know, that's when I kind of got that this is like in somebody's head. It's a dream, it's a nightmare. It's like, it's definitely, I mean, obviously dreams don't make any sense. Dreams can be jumpy and, you know, just be weird and nonsensical. So that did start becoming apparent, but it was in a frustrating way. And again, I just didn't like the style, and it just wasn't done in a way that I connected with it. And also, so his girlfriend in the movie, her name kept changing. First it was, I believe it was Lucy, and then it was Lucia, and then it was Ames or Amy. And then she kept getting these phone calls, and then the name on the phone was Lucy. And it just, it's like, again, like, what is the significance of that? There is no significance of that. Like, nobody ever tells you, it's not supposed to make any sense. Like, and that's what I'm talking about with the red herrings. What makes it frustrating, because I'm used to watching a movie, and typically if something is in the movie, it's important. It ties back to something. Like, there's a reason for it in it. You only have so long to watch a movie. Typically there's not just like a lot of dead space, like filled with details that aren't going to connect to anything. Which I guess, if the idea is that it's a dream, it doesn't have to make sense. But there were so many things in there that just, I'm just like at a loss for words, because it wasn't well done, and it didn't make any sense. Because even if it was a dream, like, why are we even watching this if it's like not explained, or if it doesn't make any, it's just like a bunch of random images on a screen. And it's frustrating because I'm used to movies being more cohesive than that. And then when I read about it, so basically Lucy, or whatever her name is, she's not a real person according to what I looked at online. Apparently this is just all what's going on in elderly Jake's head. Elderly Jake is a janitor at a school, and he's very in his head. He loves watching the kids put on plays, and so I guess he's kind of like at the end of his life, and he starts, all this stuff is in his head. This is a girl that never existed, that was never his girlfriend. And so I guess that's why, like, in the dream, things just kind of start falling apart, where her name isn't consistent. It's just, you know, a jumbled up mess inside a dying man's head. At one point there's like a weird dance fight scene, which I guess, you know, he loves watching the school plays, and so in his head, at the end of his days, this is just another random scene that we're seeing from inside his mind. And elderly, like at the end, a play / award show that he's in. At the end, elderly janitor Jake goes to get in his car, but then starts having like an episode where he starts taking off all of his clothes, which I've heard can happen to people. Like, if they're out stranded in the cold and they get disoriented, they actually start getting hot even though they're cold, and then they can die from hypothermia. So he takes off all of his clothes, and then this like cartoon pig comes and leads him down the hallway. And I guess he dies in the school because at the end of the movie, you see his truck completely covered in snow in the daytime, and you assume he died. So that's the summary. I don't know if that made any sense because watching it wasn't any better, but I mean, I would recommend that if you find this intriguing, like I found intriguing when people described it, negative or not, it made me want to watch it. It's on Netflix, so check it out for yourself. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. But I did not like the movie whatsoever, and I stick by my 1-star rating. But I think the next movie I'm going to review is going to be Candyman, the 1992 version, because they're coming out with another Candyman movie next month. I don't know if theaters are actually going to be open. So now it's September, but obviously it's, coming out in October. And if the theaters are open, I'll do my social distancing duties and go and see it. If not, if it's like direct to video, I'm gonna yeah, I think that's the next one I'm gonna watch. There's another movie, so there's a lot of movies come out that I want to watch. There's a movie called Antebellum that's coming out, but that's gonna be like video on demand. And then there's like this other movie with like Bill Skarsgård and Robert Pattinson, something about the devil, something, I don't know. It's also coming on Netflix. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to watch and review coming up pretty soon. But I think the next one I'm gonna do is gonna be Candyman. Or they might all kind of be around the same time. It just depends on when I can actually record the video between my motherly duties. So if you like this video, like I always say, like everybody says that has a YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, have a conversation with me and let me know what movies you've been watching. Give me any suggestions of movies that you'd like for me to possibly review, and I will see you in my next video.